Hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about Alignable and how to use it better. Alignable is a great platform for business networking. You can have events, people can get together, discuss different things, and hopefully do business. And for that, it's awesome. But one of the things that's missing from the concept of networking is follow-up. It's actually not that difficult to set up a process where you can not only interact with people on Alignable, but also track who they are and then be able to follow up with them later on with relative amount of ease. I propose using something like Google Keep. Google Keep is one of the simplest applications out there, yet it's got a number of features that make it very useful. Today, we're not going to cover the details of what Google Keep does and all of its features and capabilities, but we will specifically deal with using Google Keep to track alignable connections and then how to set up follow-up for those connections. So without further ado, let's jump right into it and I'll show you how it works. Since I can't be doing Smart Connect in the middle of doing this presentation, I'm going to be showing you a mock-up. So here's an example of a screen that shows my interaction with Kevin the other day. And this was done in a Smart Connect. And usually when you go into a breakout room, you usually do one-on-one. Sometimes it's more than one person, but typically it's one-on-one. And as you can see, we have the videos of both people on the screen. And then under each video, there's a little card that shows some additional information. A lot of people on Alignable don't even know what these cards are for. They just think it's just informational, but it's much more than that. And this is only available in Smart Connects. As you can see, there is a card under Kevin, and also there is a card under me. Must be so I don't forget my name. Not really necessary to have your own card, but it's there nevertheless. I'm talking to Kevin, and let's say I decide I want to connect with him after the fact, okay? The easiest way to do this is to click on his name or his company name, which is the second line. And if you click on one of those lines, you'll be taken to a person's profile in a new tab. So it looks something like this. And at this point, keep in mind, you're in the middle of potential conversation, so you don't really have a lot of time to do anything with it right then because you're still talking. So at least you will have the page up. And so during the transition between this particular conversation and next, typically the host would try to say a few words and give you a chance to potentially look at another icebreaker or something like that. That's the time to save this information. Okay. And so the way you do that is using Google Keep, which is an application available to anybody with a Google account. It's a free application and you don't need to do anything special to be able to use it. You just need to go to URL, which is keep.google.com. That's how you pull it up. And if you have a Google account, you already have access. You just may not have known that you did, but you do. And if you do want to also run it on the phone, then you need to download it from the either App Store or Play Store for Google. Okay, so we got his profile in a new tab. What do we do next? Next thing that's going to happen, I'm going to click on this little Save to Keep extension for Chrome, which is something you can get from the Chrome Web Store. Again, it's a free extension. You just need to install it in Chrome one time. Then it'll automatically pop up when you click on it with Kevin's information here. You can see it says, take a note. So if I click here, I can put any information I want. For example, say follow up Thursday or anything else I want to say. Okay. I don't have to say anything at all. If you just simply click on create note. What I typically do though, is I either add some information or leave it blank, but I do click on this little tag icon, which is also what they call labels in Google Keep, and I select Alignable. So you can set up different tags for different purposes. I have one called Alignable. This is how I can easily track all my Alignable cards because you can use it for a lot more than just Alignable, and not something you have to do, but something I do. And then I click on create note. And that's it. I'm done. You can just close it. So now I'm done with Kevin and I can move on to the next conversation. They'll do the same thing with the next person, next person, next person. Okay. Next thing, what I can do after we're done with all the conversations, I can go to Google Keep which is again, keep.google.com. And I will see all of my keep notes in there. And one of the notes I'm going to have, which is right here, which is the note I created for Kevin. Now notice that I didn't put anything else, but just this follow-up on Thursday. It automatically dropped the link to Kevin's profile for me. And then, of course, I put my text in there, and there is my alignable tag on it. So here I can actually say Kevin, or I can put his full name in there, and I can make any changes I want. I can add any text, multiple lines, etc. You get the idea. So you can put as much information as you want. When I click out of this note, it's saved. I don't have to click on save or anything else. Once you click out, it's done. And so all these notes wind up being stored here. And then, of course, you can access them, you can change them, you can do a lot of different things with them. But the basic concept is the same. And so now that I've explained a little bit about it, let's go ahead and go through the process in real time so you can actually see just how quick it is. So I deleted that one node so you can see it's not there anymore. And let's go back again to Kevin. So here we're looking at Kevin. I'm talking to Kevin. Now I decided I want to talk to him later. I click on his name. It pops up with his profile. At that point, I click on the Save to Keep extension. I potentially enter something or nothing. And I click on Create Note. And that's it. I'm done. So as you can see, it's a few steps procedure. And you're right back in the Smart Connect and talk to other people and do the same thing over and over and over. Then when you get done, you go to keep.google.com. And then over here, I can put in his name is Kevin, and I can put additional information. But the key here is that I already have his profile stored. So I can say, great guy, need to reconnect next week or something like that, whatever I decide to do. Okay. Now, one of the things you can do in Keep is be able to enter information, and you can also enter a reminder. The reminder allows you to put in date and time when you want to do it, like let's say next week. So I can click on next week, Monday at 8, or I can actually pick from a calendar, whichever date I want and whatever time I want. And I can just save it, and then I get a little reminder. So what's going to happen if I'm in Google Keep next week, it's going to come up at that point and notify me on my phone. If my notifications are turned on, notify me that I need to connect with Kevin. It'll show me this node, and then I can easily click on the link here, click on open link, and that will pull up Kevin's profile right from the Keep note. I don't have to store Kevin's website because I can easily get it from his profile. I don't have to look and see where he is located because it's right there. I can even get his phone from his, so I can get pretty much all the information I need about him from his profile and from his website and all the details I need to know. So having the profile link is the essential thing that you really need to store. And then Google, in their proverbial wisdom or lack thereof, unfortunately took out capability to actually drop reminders for these Keep notes into the calendar. That's how it used to work. When you can actually put in a reminder, like I showed you, by clicking this little remind me thing, you can indicate when you want to be reminded. It wasn't just notifications that would come up on your phone. It would actually be an event that would show up in a calendar as a reminder. And so when you pull up your Google Calendar, you will see all these things there. Unfortunately, they just switched from reminders to tasks, and they eliminated this capability. If anybody at Google is listening, a completely stupid move, because this was a really, really useful feature to be able to have these reminders automatically show up on your calendar. And then, of course, you get reminded in all different ways there. But this is not the rant about Google, so we'll move on from there. So how do you set up a follow-up with this particular person, for example? You unfortunately have to do it manually. So you're going to have to go to Google Calendar. Let's pull up Google Calendar here. And let's say that I wanted to set up a follow-up for next week. So I can go to next week, click on event, just like any calendar event. Set up follow-up Kevin, or whatever it might be. I can also, of course, click on more options, and then I can add additional information here, as much or as little as I want. In terms of some details, I can put a date, indicate what we discussed. a bunch of different things that can be done. You want to do it as quickly after the event as possible so you don't forget, but it's going to be there. And then that's it. And then if you have notifications set up on this event, you'll see it and you go from there. So that's how you do the calendar part. If you do have reminders on the Keep Note itself, it'll remind you using push notification to your phone. So you'll see that you need to do something. That's how it works. That's how easy it is to do it. I'm going to give you just a few minutes here, walk through Google Keep, but it's not going to be an in-depth thing. Just show you some of the features and capabilities. So in Google Keep, when you go to keep.google.com, you have a very simple interface, which will have almost nothing on the screen except for this one line that says take a note. And if you click on it, it gives you ability to start typing immediately. You can type as much as you want. And you can also put in this title, which is going to be bold, and you can put whatever title you want. So it's an optional thing. You don't have to have a title, but it makes it look a little bit nicer this way. That's essentially what Google Keep is. Its ability to easily add a note, and then you can either click on close, or you could jump out of it by clicking somewhere else, and the note is right there. And it just puts it with a pool of all these additional notes. Okay. The capability that makes it so incredible is ability to search on various criteria. For example, I can type in search, and I can type in Kevin, and it comes with the nodes. All the nodes that meet this criteria that I type, they're going to pop up. So here's the situation. As you can see right here, it highlighted where it found the words Kevin, and there is my node. So I can have 1,000 nodes, and it'll pull up just the ones that have Kevin in it. So that makes it extremely useful because you can easily find everything. You don't need to be sifting through a bunch of nodes. And of course, you click on it to edit it, make any changes you want to, done. So that's kind of the quick and easy tutorial on how to use Google Keep. In addition to that, you're able to create nodes for checklists. So let's say you wanted to do a shopping list. You can just create a node and you can change pull down menu. Here it says add checkboxes, and we'll call it shopping list. And then we have bread, milk, we have sour cream, etc. You get the idea. So you can have a bunch of checkboxes, and then when you actually use it, when you bought your milk, you click on milk and it puts it down at the bottom. It says completed item. And if you click on sour cream, it says 2 completed items at the bottom. So you can see your list gets exhausted. You can always uncheck it if you want. There are some additional options you can do as well. But the idea is you can have either a free-form text or you can have this checkbox capability. As you can see on the bottom, they have a few additional features. We talked about reminders. So that's one thing it does. You can also collaborate with other people. So those collaborators can actually see and make changes to the same node. You don't have ability to have a granular control, like in Google Docs, for example, where you can indicate that somebody can be a viewer or commenter, but they cannot be an editor. This thing is just equivalent to an editor. If you share it with somebody, they get notified in email, they get access to this node. Anything they change, anything you change will be visible, like everybody's doing it at the same time. So it's very useful. Another thing you got is ability to change background colors, and we'll talk about that in a second. So if I wanted to click on here and make it orange, I can do that. And also ability to add images. So if I click on here and click on pictures and pull up, I don't know, whatever, and pull up a picture, it looks like this, it'll load it, and then it becomes part of the node. So if I look at this node here, you can see it looks like this. My shopping list now looks like that. And you can actually add multiple images. It doesn't have to be just one. You can also annotate on images. You can even do things like read text from images. So if you have some text, like you scan a business card as an image, you can have the information on it be dropped with just a menu selection into the node as text. And by the way, you can also search for information that's textual within the graphics. You'll find it anyway. It's an amazing, amazing piece of software here because it is so simple and yet so capable. Another thing you can do is you can archive things. This way you don't have all the nodes in one place. You actually have a storage for the ones you don't use anymore, but they're still accessible and searchable. And you have undo and redo and that. So that's kind of a quick rundown of what you can do with Keep. The only thing I'm going to mention is speaking specifically of Alignable and using it for alignable purposes. You notice I have some labels here on the left, some tags. And the way that works is that you can actually create a bunch of these labels, and then you can use them inside your Keep notes. The reason you'd want to do this is because you might want to segregate information, all these notes, because there's a bunch of notes potentially. You want to be able to have some sort of organization capability. That's where these labels come in to do that. And also you have the colors as additional means of segregating things. So to show you what I mean, I actually put together a little legend, and you can set up it just a Keep note. It's not anything beyond that. And I had it pinned, meaning it'll always be at the top, and it shows you what different colors mean. Okay. So for example, my green is strong connection. So if I want to see my strong connections, I simply go to search and I scroll down and I select green. And now I have nothing but cards with who I consider my strong connections. Okay. So it's an easy way to do it. And then see at the top here where it says search, it says search within green, which means I can actually look for somebody like Teresa, and she'll come up. Even if I had 10 Teresas with different colors, only this one would come up because she's the only one that's within green. So it's a way to search within a group. The color is a group, and you can search within the group, or you can just search everything. It's solely up to you how you do it. But it's a simple way using colors to segregate various kinds of notes and easily pull up just those. For example, let's say that I wanted to look at clients, purple. And actually, Teresa just became a client, so I can easily change the color of her note to be purple. And so now she's purple. And so if I wanted to look just for clients on this particular set here, then Teresa would come up like that. If I had multiple clients on this list, then all of them come up here. Okay. By the way, I do have more than one client. I just wanted, for the purposes of this presentation, to keep it to be as small as possible, so it's not going to overwhelm anybody. I do have another account with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of notes, including my other client. This is just an example. And Teresa just became a recent client, so that's why. Okay, so in addition to colors, then you can also have labels. And so labels, for example, let's say that you wanted to keep track of all kinds of information, not just alignable people. You would just put them in and assign, if you want labels to them, you don't have to. But the alignable people, let's say you always assign with a label called alignable. So this way, when you click on alignable, you'll see nothing but cards or notes. These are just nothing but alignable people. Okay. If I want to see all the ambassadors from this list of notes they have, these two people are ambassadors. If I want to see businesses that I refer, these are the businesses I refer. So you can have the segregation of content based on colors, if that means anything to you. In other words, make them mean whatever your organizational preferences are. Don't just look at stuff I set up because this is good for me, but you may have a different approach. You just want to make sure you understand how this works. Okay. And then you have labels because you have a limited number of colors. You don't want to have, a zillion different colors to segregate. So you just have these certain key categories that make sense to you. And then if you want to have a lot more segregation, then you go into labels. You can only have one color per note, but you can have multiple labels per note. So like you can see example right here, I have this note, it's got all these different labels attached to this particular note. Okay. And so you choose however you wish to do it. My recommendation is have a label called alignable. So it immediately will segregate everything into alignable people and everything else. And then also have additional labels for like business I refer, businesses who refers me. Typically, they also have a resource for me. I think I would combine business I refer with resource for me as a single label, because if it's somebody that I can use as a resource, I absolutely would definitely have no problems referring these people, because if they were not my resource, I wouldn't use them. Why would they refer them? But if I do use them, then definitely I can use them as referrals to refer them to somebody else. So that would be one category. And then the other one, businesses who refer me. Okay. So this would be a business on that card who refers me, and that's how I would identify. Sometimes you would have both. It could be a business you refer and they refer you, and that's fine. You'll just have these two labels. But it makes it very, very nice to be able to see if somebody comes to you saying they're looking for a particular kind of business within your sphere of influence or your sphere of knowledge, then you can just simply click on my resources. And based on that, Jessica does some great business consulting work. So if somebody's looking for a good business consultant, I'll refer Jessica in a heartbeat. And Teresa works with all kinds of neurodivergent people. She's a saint for that. And, if anybody comes to me looking for something like that, I can refer Teresa. So that's basically how Depware works. As you build your network of connections, you can easily see who does what over time, because otherwise you forget it. You just forget it. It's just nature of the beast. And so this way it's nice to track. As you can see in some of these notes, I have dates and I put in information about what happened with these dates. So I kind of use it like a tickler. And so almost like a CRM, basically. Actually, I do use it as a CRM. And this way I can see what happened in terms of history of what happened with this person for tracking. And, any of this stuff that I put there is obviously searchable from search. So there's a number of different things you can do. And so initially, in terms of colors, the last thing I'm going to say that, the basic background color is white. So start with that. It'll create a note with white and just have the white note mean that it's a connection. Because if it's somebody you don't even want to be able to follow up or anything else, then there's no point in making a note for it. But if it's somebody you met with and you potentially may do something, or you at least talk to them, then set it up as a white note. And then later on, you can change it according to whatever color scheme you use. Okay. So that's basic quick rundown on Google Keep and what it can do. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll be able to answer them. It's an incredibly capable application. And what makes it incredible is the fact that it's A, free, number one, and B, it's extremely easy to get into and use. I mean, if you can click and type, you know how to use Google Keep. It really is that simple. And then all these other little embellishments and features make it much more powerful. Like I said, the lack of calendar integration is a little disappointing. Again, any Google people out there, fix this thing to work like it used to. But otherwise, it's an excellent, excellent app. And then the only other thing I was going to add and mention that if you use this on your phone, let's do an example here. We got the Kevin thing here and we created a note for him. Let's close this. Let's create a note for him. And it created the note. We're done. Okay. So if we view it in Keep, you can see that this is the note. It's got his link to the profile. Let's use voice and that's it. You cannot use your own voice to record anything and Keep on the desktop. But what you can do is you can pull up your trusty old phone. Like I'm just pulling up here. And what I can do is you can't really see it, but basically I'm clicking on this Keep note here, which is the same. As you can see, it says, let's use voice. It's B notes because it syncs everything literally almost immediately. And they have a button here. If you click on plus, it has a button that says, it's got a little microphone and it says recording. And so if I click on it, I can add additional information here as much as I want. And then I stop. And so when you stop, it puts recording. And so what it winds up doing is winds up putting a little clip. I can add additional information here as much as it, and then I stop. Okay. And if you look at the top above the recording, you can actually see the text associated with that recording automatically being transcribed. If you have your phone handy, you can quickly pull up and have Keep open on your phone. Then you can quickly use the phone to add to that node any comments you want because it's faster than typing, and then you're done. And so if we pull up the note on the desktop now, here, you can see that it's got the same recording that we had on the phone synchronized to the desktop, so you can play it from here as well. And you can see that the text that I transcribed also got updated in this Keep note. It took a few seconds to do it, but it's relatively quickly. So that's pretty much it. Certainly feel free to reach out with any questions or concerns. And this is it for today. Thank you.